Okay, so how are you all?
Doing well.
You guys looking?
Cold.
You're looking cold. Eli's not looking so cold. Jonathan's got his second layer on.
Dude, it's freezing here.
Is it? Has it
Yeah.
started snowing over there yet, guys?
No, we don't get snow.
You don't get snowing at all in the desert, obviously.
In Bakersfield, actually, it's weird. We get snow once every 20 years. It's really weird. And we get like a foot of snow once, and it's always in January, so it's never, on Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen snow a few times. And if you drive in any direction in the valley, you'll hit snow eventually within
Yeah,
2
up here
hours.
in Washington, we get maybe like 2 days of snow if we're lucky. And the mountains get plenty of it. We just get ice and freeze over.
Yeah. Have you always been in Washington, Eli?
Yeah, my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm born in Portland, Oregon, but that doesn't count.
Well, this is sort of like Josh was just saying, the guys. Today's my first sort of day off that I'm not packing or unpacking or setting up crap and everything else. We came up here, and like our first day here, we were up like 30, 32, 33 degrees Celsius, and about 100,000% humidity. It was disgusting.
Jeez.
Yeah, but then the next day, it pissed down, and it's been freezing ever since. So I guess it's the country lifestyle, but it's nice to be back up in out of the big smoke.
With your 1970s curtains?
Only series curtains.
Yeah, those are pretty trick there.
They're pretty awesome, not. Shit, I might have to put this into black and white or something, or else people are going to comment. You're going to make me all self-conscious now. We've moved back into our house after 7 years of having it tenanted. So she's looking a bit run down, a bit shabby. Needs some TLC. So we've got our work cut out the next 6 months. But who knows? We got a nice big, semi-decent sized block of land and all the bits and pieces. So it'll do us for now.
We're going to go get some sheep.
Nah, not that much land. We're stuck in. We've got avocado orchards all around us. So
Avocado? Is that what you said?
yeah, avocado.
Yeah.
Avocado.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
It's Mayan for bull's testicles or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
It actually means testicles.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
like the Maori name for it is pudu, which also means testicles. So it's got something to do with the nut. So
Voodoo?
pudu, yeah,
Yeah, they are a South American thing, right? Somebody brought them over with you guys.
yeah, likely, yeah. But no, where I am is all orchards and avocados and citrus orchards around the place, and then you got horse studs just up there, and so it's real country bumpkin lifestyle. We're about 12, even though we're about 12 minutes out of the city, so that's pretty cool.
That's where you want to be, dude.
Yeah, totally.
I wish I was about 12 minutes out of the city.
Nothing is 12 minutes out of the city in Seattle.
Well, guys, should we kick it off?
Kick.
How long have we got you for today, Eli?
Roughly till about 3:30, give or take.
Okay.
For me
Cool.
too.
I can always borrow the door. I can always borrow the garage door and keep the family out if I need to.
Also, and Jonathan, you haven't got a time limit or anything today?
Actually, I'll be home with groceries in a little while. I got till about 3:30, 3:45.
Cool. Okay,
Cool
guys.
hour, let's do it.
Okay, that's cool.
Do this.
Okay, guys. Welcome everyone to show number 5, Brotherhood of the Fly. Today we have the usual suspect lineup. We have Jonathan Bowen to the center. We have Mr. Q, Josh Qualt Disney, to the right. And today our special guest is Eli Ardnt of Loud Ninja Games, hailing from Washington.
Yes.
So welcome to the show, Eli. Thanks
Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks for taking the time, mate. I know it's been a hectic arrangement of getting you scheduled in for us, but we got there in the end. So
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to get today off, so just it works. So
yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. So you're normally working what day? It's Saturday over there, isn't it? Saturday.
Sunday.
Oh, sorry, it's Sunday in the States, of course. It's
yeah,
Monday here
for
today.
now.
Yeah,
I work in that special hell that's customer service, so tech support.
it's a special kind of hell.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks.
What kind of tech support are you doing on a Sunday?
Cable.
Oh, cool.
The power
Hey.
company close on the weekends, but cable can't.
Yes, that's true. Hey, I've actually got. Never mind. I'll ask you later.
That's every party I go to.
Yeah, me too. But they're like, hey, can you like draw this? No, I can't draw that for you. No, I can't.
No.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Cool. Sorry.
Okay.
That's us. If you were a dentist, you would never have that problem.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, hey, I got this root canal. I'm gonna try and squeeze a root canal out of this guy.
Party tricks.
Cool. Well, Eli, let's kick this one off then. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the miniatures industry to start with?
I think the start of the story is pretty typical for most people. As a gamer, picked up D&D Red Box when I was 8, and started collecting miniatures back in Ralpartha.
That damned red box, eh? It's got a lot to answer for.
That Red Box.
That red box.
It's funny that I went over to, it was grade school, went over to a friend's house and played over the weekend. Came home just absolutely in this new special headspace and couldn't afford to get it. So I spent the weekend writing my own version of D&D. My parents were cool enough to sit down and play with me. That started as addiction that got me here. So, but we used to, go through the pegs at the local shop and grab whatever we could, and then me and my friends started forming factions and stuff. Brian would grab all the goblins, and this other dude would grab all the elves, and next thing we know, we got armies. So then from there, when things like Warhammer started coming out when I was junior year in high school, that's where I really started playing organized rules. For real. The first game set I ever played was Galacta Imperium from Heritage. Sci-fi, retro sci-fi, and total Star Wars ripoff. At the time, like everything. They're still around. They're awesome figures. I mean, if you like that old style. But as far as getting into the industry, it was really just looking down at a conversion one day and realizing that there was only about 20% of the original figure left, and decided maybe I should start trying to sculpt stuff. And about that time, Gavin over in Scotland with 15mm.co.uk, he started up his SHM line, the self-help miniatures. So it was like this outlet for up-and-comers to start putting their stuff together. So I started submitting some stuff to him, and people liked it. And also at the same time, I was kicking around the idea for the Space Raptors. And that was kind of the start of it. For about a decade, industry guys have been telling me that dinosaurs with guns wouldn't sell. And so I finally said it. I'm like,
how wrong could they be?
So, and it was this weird confluence. So Kickstarter comes out at that time. You're starting to see your first gaming stuff for Kickstarter. And so I decided, well, I just punt with it and try to do a Kickstarter. Had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know the industry. Barely knew what molds cost, what sculpts cost. Managed to find some up-and-comer in at that time he was in Portugal, and he was willing to do like the first 2 packs of Space Raptors, and that's all it was supposed to be. And then he had to kind of bug out during the project because he did a big move, and so I had to find somebody else. And at that point, then I decided to do this Kickstarter, which went crazy. But and really it was just this weird progression, kind of a slow roll. And then the Kickstarter left kind of a taste for the industry. I guess you could say I liked creating and designing. Never set out really to be a sculptor per se, but and then just kind of been picking up the sculpting on the fly.
So how long have you been sculpting for, Eli? How long since your first sort of encounter with putty and tools and
legitimate non-conversion work from armature up? About 5 years.
About 5 years. Cool.
Just green stuff and paper clips to start with. So.
Yes, okay, awesome. So you've taken the epoxy route. Is that still the same material you're using to this day? Can you tell us a bit about the materials that you use, or primarily for Loud Ninja Games products?
For a little bit of explanation, I mean, right now most of Loud Ninja's stuff is designed by other sculptors. I mean, that's the Space Raptors, the Andrasi, and then the Equine. Those 3 were sculpted by different people. Like I said, originally I was going to be designing stuff, letting pro sculptors do it, and at the same time building up my own skills. But I use primarily Procreate now. because I like the versatility that one product gives me. Although, I've been hearing you talk about the blends and stuff, and trying to get into that. Green stuff I use a lot still for the base bulk up of the figure, and then I'll do a detail layer over that in Procreate because I like the edge it allows me to get in the detail. But still, armature build up. Sometimes when I can, I'll use metal, dollies and stuff like that if I can. You can get them. Gavin's really good at providing me with human dollies, but I've actually sent him some stuff to make alien dollies and stuff too. So.
Cool.
So can you explain a little bit more about I think you said SHM, self-help miniatures?
SHM is this really cool idea that Gavin at 15mil.co.uk had, which is really just a way to get all these guys out there who want to try their hand at sculpting and see kind of get a feel for what other people think of their work. I know it sounds weird, you shouldn't really care what other people think, but if you're thinking about making that jump in, it's nice to have that outside feedback. And so he's got this line where you send stuff to him, he sells the product, you get copies of your stuff, and there's usually some additional compensation, free packs of this, that, and the other. But it really worked out nicely at first. For me, I started out doing all these unarmed, just space civilians, Mos Eisley type characters and stuff, right? And those really went over because there was nobody really doing much of that. You could get armies full of guns and stuff, armed troops and stuff, but if you wanted 15mm for adventure, there wasn't much. So I just decided to do that. And at the time, equipment was hard. Guns were hard to sculpt and stuff, so it's like, okay, well, if I don't give them guns, I don't have to worry about it. I can sculpt a space tuba, but not a gun. And really, I have a guy who's got a space tuba, and I've got like a guy with the little, was it the keytar thing or whatever, and he did the space band. But SHM was really neat because you'd see guys posting a figure on TMP or something, and then Gavin chime in, give them the resource. Next thing you know, they've got a taste of getting a figure into print, and then other people are saying this is really cool. So.
And that was your first taste in seeing your stuff produced, then?
Yeah. I mean, as far as actually cast in metal and stuff like that, and the first figure I ever sculpted was for my daughter for Christmas. Actually, it's her as a Viking kid with a little noose on a stick for hunting monsters. So,
cool.
Belt hat and the trousers and stuff.
Yeah, sculpting is the best, I think, gift giving thing.
Yeah, totally. That's definitely, it's right up there. That comment about the 70s curtains is wearing on me, Josh. I'm gonna have to get up and open them. I tell you, I was telling the guys, Josh, it's been 7 years since we moved back here, and all the tenants have replaced all the curtains in the house, and the Kim's getting blinds in, but it's going to take a couple of weeks for them to be made.
Were your tenants also colorblind?
Taste defunct.
We're just funky.
Yeah.
Looked like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah, I was frankly getting a little nauseous. And the whole thing. Look, I made him self-conscious. How cute.
Yes, I know. You're looking out our deck there, you're just going to see walls of trees and.
Well, now we only have you in silhouette, dude.
Yeah, we have a silhouette.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, I mean, that's the best. That's the best way to look at Anton.
Yeah, it is.
So.
He's orange.
He tells me that every week. I am orange. Redirecting some lights. Sorry, Eli. Sorry to throw that spanner in there, but I was sitting here and my ass was twitching because those curtains were just glaring at me now. I became very self-conscious.
Eli, did you, if I remember correctly, you did the prang?
Yeah. I did those, that was like the first thing close to a range I did. And really it started out with one dude for the space, and then Gavin kept asking for more, so.
No offense to Gavin, but those are the only things I've ever bought from him. Just it's loosely based on maybe something that I actually thought was cool. So I mean, we don't need to talk about what it was probably loosely based on. But
yes.
No, I dig those guys quite a bit. I have got a couple little bags of them. I mean, they're not painted because they don't paint anything, but I own them.
I am a miniatures gamer, and I also don't paint anything. So,
Well, I mean, that's that old thing that you can't die until your miniatures are painted. But when you actually right, I'm a motor because I manufacture, right? So
They kind of got
I sold off an entire Warhammer army once that I had for ages that was still in its original pewter. I mean, it's like giant. No, the Prang were fun, and it's one of those cases where they've gone from being a single figure to about a half a dozen, and now they're getting put in as an official part of the Ion Age now as a new Force faction. So, got me now semi on staff, I guess, doing the design and sculpting for these guys from dollies and weapon sprues and stuff, just so we can just explode them out.
They've got a real cool Farscape vibe going with them.
you weren't supposed to say that.
Yeah,
Oh.
I did know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what's that?
I did my damnedest not to say that word, and then you go and say that word.
Sorry, Josh,
That's
I've still got those curtains on my mind.
Admittedly, Jim Henson and his work overall factored heavily into the initial Aliens I did, partly because he had his hand in everything alien in my childhood.
Sure.
Yoda, E.T., whatever, and so it's just one of those situations where all my spaceport alien civilians were all goofy guys in rubber masks and big hands and stuff like that, and so it was just kind of natural that shows through. I mean, it still does. I've been told that I have kind of a chunky style when it comes to sculpting. Part of that's just, I think, experience and stuff, but also a lot of the subject matter I want to do. There's enough skinny stuff out there.
Yeah, but
aliens have curves.
that chunky old Hammer vibe's still alive and well. It's and it seems to be growing in popularity, even more so than it ever has been.
I think gamers, like the original crop of gamers are getting old and wistful for what they had as children. I know I am. It's like every time I look at something like, okay, the high tech cutting edge stuff is awesome. It's really cool to see just that bleeding edge to the stuff that everybody's doing. But give me a Space Knight too. I mean, it's nice to see that stuff. Where laser swords and force fields.
Yep. We're all children of the 70s or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Youngster over there.
Close enough. The decorations in our living room stayed pretty 70s up until about 1986. So.
And then they moved to Anton's house.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we sent to New Zealand.
Well, he took this as cutting edge fashion here in New Zealand.
Exactly.
So, getting back to the self-help miniature system that you utilised, Eli, can you tell us a bit about your experiences with that? I mean, I know there are a few establishments out there now doing something similar. Yeah, I think Trollforge Miniatures is one. Have you guys heard of Trollforged?
I've not heard anything about them doing anything like this SHM, but I have to admit I don't really look for much of that anymore. But my experience is good. I mean, it was a great way to get stuff out and to play with ideas because you're really there's no pressure to produce something specific. You're just throwing out what you think is cool, whether it's some critter from an alien planet or the Prang, which grew into something bigger. But it's a great way to just try it. I mean, even if you never go, I mean, there's a few guys who contributed who just never they never did anything more after the first couple of figures, but they had a chance, and that I think is really awesome. And it's pretty much you contact 15 mil. They've got, if you go to their page, they've got a sub page for for SHM, and you just contact them and let them know what you have, and they'll tell you how to send it to them.
Yeah.
So.
Does he take everything, or does he kind of police it a little bit?
I imagine he's never been too specific, but I have to imagine that as a businessman, he's looking out for obvious IP infringement, things like that. That's blatant. But I mean, he took my sci-fi stuff, but also I think I have the first fantasy stuff too. I don't know if you ever saw those guys, the Owlmen that I did, the Uhul. Yeah, they're really rough. If I look at them today, they almost make me cringe. But they're kind of cool. I mean, they're all, took owlbears and made them a tribal society, so it's kind of fun. I did the fleet scale mecha, for SHM also. Like no, I like Gundam and stuff, the old anime stuff, and there just was nothing out to go next to the fleet scale ships, so it's pretty cool.
So is that where the praying started? Is that where you?
Yeah, I did them for that, and they've been one of the most asked for things that I've sculpted for him, and so it's just over time, eventually he approached me and asked if I would be cool taking them into the Ion Age, his set of rules in his universe. It's kind of cool.
So there will be future releases for the praying?
There are. I'm working on them right now. There's going to be more of a standardized force for them, because what's come out has always been sort of the concept there was Space Raiders, and we're going to kind of do a legitimate army for them with standardized troops and command and eventually vehicles and stuff. And
you're stepping up the sculpting game on those?
I am. Yeah, it's putting a little bit. My skills have improved since the original ones, or even the last batch. And then also we're going with the dolly system on these ones, so I have the advantage of cleaning up a lot of the stuff up front, so it'll all be standardized as it comes through. So we can do weapon sprues and head sprues and stuff like that too.
Cool. So I noticed with Eli, I look back on in our previous episodes with our other manufacturers as well, and every single one of you brings a different level of interaction to the table. I mean, we have Art, who's got his core sculptor, and he's just designed his ranges with one core sculptor. You've got Harold, who's sort of got his work spread out and around the show. We've got you, who has used contractual sculptors in the past, but you also do your own stuff. So it's just another level, another interesting sort of deviation on it.
Yeah.
Is there any particular sculptors you use for particular ranges, or do you just have guys that you've worked with in the past who you have a natural bond and trust with? Can you tell us a bit about the sculptors you have used and your sort of experiences?
Okay. So the Space Raptors were the first time, the Chewok, the Space Raptors is what they're usually known, because the name is a mouthful. They were my first contract sculpt job, and that was really trying to find somebody. I kind of just almost picked a name out of the phone book. Looked on the internet, found a guy whose work I liked, and then worked with him. The experience was okay, but that particular job did leave a bit of a foul taste in my mouth towards the end. So I won't name names. In that case, I mean, when you get a figure back that's got a blatant thumbprint on a base, and it looks like they put a blob of putty down and pressed it in, that's, even as a neophyte to the industry, that was just not okay, And then when they went to mold, we found out that bases weren't secured to the figures properly, so they were folding over in the molding and stuff like that when they would press them, just popping off and coming over. So that was not cool, especially in the middle of a Kickstarter. That was my first attempt at a Kickstarter, and that Kickstarter went a year over. But they came out, and they were good. They're good. They're solid figures. After that, I started working. I was sculpting myself some more, and then I did when the Equine actually started before the Yggdrasil came out. Even though the Yggdrasil were released before, they were the second Kickstarter. But the Equine, I started working with Rod Campbell from Highlander.
Cool, yeah.
And he did an amazing job. So I suspect witchcraft. It's part of it, because the way that the Equine have the neck. You've seen the designs, right? The concept art. They have the neck spines, and those things it was almost something that was going to have to get thrown out if we couldn't figure out a way to work it. And he went and individually drilled every spine on the neck to anchor it with wire, and then built up around it. So when they went to mold, just amazing work. And so while those were in process, I got the crazy idea to try and put some extra legs under Loud Ninja to do another Kickstarter. Figured I'd learned everything. Never figure you learn everything. That one went better, though. I mean, I had a better idea what the prices were and what the shipping was, and I arranged with Gavin to just ship straight from him rather than, because the first, with the Space Raptors, I got a 150-pound box of lead shipped from England to me. And the postage alone for that, I think, was about as much as shipping the stuff back out to everybody.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was 2 giant boxes just full of lead. And then that was on top of the resin work that I had done by Ravenstar for the APC that was part of the Kickstarter. So Chris did a great job on that. That eventually got converted to a resin and metal kit over in with Gavin and his crew. But the Yondrasi, that was shot.
Was that APC digitally sculpted, or was that done by hand?
It was digitally sculpted. So yes, it's getting there. There's a great guy that I work with named Andreas Udby. He's actually a local, well, other side of the state, but local to me. He's over in east of the mountains. He plays around with free digital sculpt stuff, and again, there's some sort of wizardry there because what he produces, I think he's just very cognizant of the limitations of the program and can work it. But the APC came out perfect, and people have liked it. It's different. The idea was to make an alien APC that didn't look like a box with a door at the back, and then so that was digital. He did a really great job on that one. When I got to the Yondrasi, that was Sean Harrison. He worked also. I got his name through Harold. He had done some work for Harold's stuff, and found out that he's literally like 20 minutes from me. So we actually had lunch and discussed the project and stuff. So it was kind of cool. His work was really cool, and that went much better as far as the Kickstarter, because he started working on the stuff before the Kickstarter was done. He was willing to work with me and start actually getting sculpts done before I could pay him. And so that's, but there was a guarantee. I'm like, dude, if this doesn't fly, have fun. There you are. I do this I'll be honest, I do this to a great degree as hobby paying, a hobby that pays for itself. And I don't have a lot of ego, so if I had to have somebody else do something that I originally created just to make sure the work didn't go to waste, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could be happy.
And Sean Harrison's a great guy. I've spoken to him a number of times through Facebook and means, and he's a genuine great guy. Is
he the one that did the Helldivers?
No, that was Rod. He
did the other lines for the exoskeleton suits
and the aliens.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
He's got some serious industry chops too. That was, sitting down at lunch with him and talking was just really eye-opening because he's worked for both GW and Privateer.
Yeah.
And that he has a lot of knowledge, and it's really cool that I felt like anything that I handed him
was in good hands.
Knew that it
was in good hands.
Yeah, I mean, it was more. The only times I ever found myself, concerned for anything would just be matters of detail. Like, okay, make that a little thicker. Not because I felt it would break, but because visually it needed to be different. So great guy to work with there because he knows his stuff. You felt like whatever you handed him was going to come out good, and it did. And people liked it. And that Kickstarter went over okay, and then that's got me to where I am now, which is really trying more to see where I can go with my own stuff and doing some projects on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So
I'm going through your webpage. That's why I'm not looking at you. I'm going through your stuff.
No, that's cool.
So where next for you, Eli? Where is Loud Ninja headed next? Are you able to share a few sort of insider exclusives with us, or?
Yeah, I'm in a weird place, and to be honest, because I have to decide whether or not my little out-of-pocket project can keep hiring other sculptors, or if I really do need to get by on my own skills. And so I've been trying to improve my own skills and work within my range right now as far as what I can do. I'm trying to avoid future Kickstarters because honestly, there's a lot of stress involved in a Kickstarter. Even if they work, and I think my second one was pretty much a success, but there's a lot if it doesn't work. If you go on your own, you can pace yourself. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've got the Equine. There's so much to do for the Equine. That's the, four-eyed alien insurgent guys. Those guys have such. They used to be these little mushroom-headed guys on sketch paper when I first started them, and there's, tribal Equine that I'd like to do. I've got, more advanced Equine with better weaponry that I want to do. I'd like to get some more troops out for the Andrasi, because that's another one that just has a lot of growth potential, because the idea there is just an alien culture that taps into the potential of various races for specific tasks. So you can
add to that forever. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, okay, and it's a great place for that random idea, too, that you don't feel like sculpting an entire range for.
Yeah.
It's like, this alien is cool, but I don't want to make
100 of them.
An entire set of troop types for them. Even the Space Raptors get new stuff. Like this year, they got a new tank. They came out with the Vassif. That was also done by Andreas. And then he's working right now on kind of a gunship for me for them. But I also have my Wastelanders. They start out with 2 packs of mutants, just classic, like old school, mutant future Gamma World type stuff. And then so from those 2 packs, in 2016, a whole 2 weeks away. The future, but I've got 2-3 packs of more human type road warrior type characters to go along with those. Got Wasteland Raiders, a couple of packs of those, and a pack of Road Wardens, which is 4 good guy personalities. A pack of rad zombies, like radiation zombies that are going to come out, gooey, drippy, Return of the Living Dead type guys. Right before the end of the year, we came out with those 2 big guys, the Wasteland Buddies and the Terror Clots, I think it was. Those were kind of the last 2 I was going to be able to squeeze in for the year. But,
Eli, have you ever thought about hitting up Joe Maguire and doing some 15mm lines for his "This is not a test system"?
Joe and I talked a few times, and it's more. It's not so much that never came up. I mean, I got to play around with his rule set and more like an example of 15, but it never went there. Yeah, that conversation.
Okay.
I'd be open to it, honestly.
Joe's a great guy too. We're going to have him on in a couple of weeks' time as well.
Great set was really well polished.
Yeah, extremely well, considering he's done it on the smell of an oily rag.
Exactly. It's like,
What rules are we talking about?
This is not a test. TNT.
I don't know what those are.
I'll show you.
Wasteland, skirmish level.
Fallout. It's like a Fallout skirmish game.
Newer?
Yeah.
I think they're only out in PDF right now.
Yeah, PDF. He's generating the funds to go print, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I think he may have print-on-demand version available too.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't need to generate funds to print necessarily anymore, right? You just do print on demand.
Yeah. But I think Joe has his own sort of plans for that line. But it is for a little indie rule set. It's by far one of the most polished ones I've ever seen.
It's got to be one of the best.
You want to go World's End Publishing, Josh?
Yeah, it's just loading really slow.
Okay, cool.
His demo tables are brilliant looking too.
Yeah. He's got big connections with the group down here in New Zealand as well, in Auckland. They've been doing things behind the scenes, and it's he's in regular touch. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. But I'd seriously look at that, Eli, as a possibility. If you're continuing to develop this Wasteland range, I see that as an excellent opportunity to sort of slide in and say, here's 15mm offerings.
I I did actually one of the conversations with him. I mean, some of his feedback he gave me is like, it sounds like it might be able to go there. You know, some sort of tie-in because you know we need this kind of troop type, this kind of troop type, this kind of troop. I've just been sculpting the range as just an open-ended range.
Yeah.
You know, just a lot of the 15 millimeter sci-fi stuff that's out there is just, you know, I'll make the figures, you plug it in wherever you need to. But yeah, and then after the talk I had with him once, I started to sculpt some specific like heavy weapon troops and stuff like that. You know, it's always an odd thing. You know, what's a heavy weapon in the apocalypse, right? You're not going to find a
Baseball
lot of
bat.
Yeah.
yeah,
With
a really
nails in
big
the end.
baseball bat. It's like the Wasteland Buddies. The club he's got is actually a yanked up telephone or lamppost. Actually, the club is tape wrapped metal with the chunk of concrete that you pull out of the ground if you ever up for one of those things. You know, stop sign shields and stuff like that.
Cool. Very cool.
Have you thought about doing your own rules?
My own rules, I've never been much of a numbers guy as far as mechanics go. So I never really have considered it without help because I'm a great idea guy, but systems and numbers often get away from me. To be fair, I mean it's and so if I had somebody who was good with the mechanics to work with, I think then there might be a partnership somewhere out there. I've got a couple of buddies in my regular gaming group, who are just statistical nightmares. I mean, really, they're just like, here's some numbers, and chalkboards magically appear behind them, and slide rules and stuff.
Living battle computers.
Yeah, rules lawyers. One guy actually wears a badge to conventions that says "Rules lawyer for good," because. But no, I have that benefit of having a semi-regular gaming group still, so that's also to a detriment sometimes because those ideas that often fly around the table that sound great often stay in the idea box.
Yeah.
I suppose it's less important when you're doing 15s because 15 millimeter gaming crowd is happy to collect up a bunch of crap and use whatever the hell they like, unlike the 28 millimeter crowd.
Yeah, a bit more exclusive.
Yeah.
I'm getting the feeling that we may be seeing kind of the end of that, or at least a bit of toning down on that, because the great abstraction that is 15 millimeter is I think daunting to some people. Personally, I feel that it's ripe for rule sets to come out and universes. I know lots of people that I've chatted with seem to think that that's and then like Gavin doing Ion Age has gained a lot of traction because he's got a universe and rules. And I think even Josh, you've commented on a few times that without rules, some guys don't even think about your stuff; they just pass by your stuff.
Yeah, I mean
which is sad because it's amazing stuff.
I mean, it seems more true, like I said, in the 28 to 32 millimeter crowd. I don't know why that is. I guess it's just different gaming mindsets. But yeah, I mean, the 15 millimeter stuff we have and the 6 just fucking sells to everybody. They don't care. They're gonna drop it in something. Have you thought about doing 28, 32 millimeter type stuff?
I have. I have ideas for 28 stuff. I haven't got there yet. It's one of those. I've sculpted some 28s before. That the Viking kid version of my kid was 28. I've done a few trolls and stuff for my Viking army, and just things that I plugged in. It is a lot more work than 15. I think I got to be honest, and considering I have the day job and a family and everything, I always have to manage my time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm sitting in the garage. They're out shopping right now. But I do have the advantage that my day job allows me to sculpt at my desk while I'm at work.
Right.
As long as my numbers are still there and nobody cares. I mean, it's kind of funny. Walk by and I'm talking to somebody and sculpting cool one hand and a bunch of putty. When you cut yourself with the X-Acto knife in the office, though, you do find that you're look away. This is not an F&I moment.
You can't get workers' comp for that? Little workers' comp?
the problem is then they'd make me stop sculpting at work if I bled over all over everything.
Yeah, you got to sign off the liability.
The one person who ever looked at me funny at my work, honestly, I just pointed around and said, okay, she's crocheting a blanket, she's doing Sudoku, he's playing video games on his phone, leave him alone. It's funny, Patrick Keith,
Yep.
from stuff for Reaper and stuff.
Sculpt dude.
I was talking about him with him. That's how he said he started, was working, tech support at a desk and just sculpting. So it's a nice way to be able to spend my day. Keeps it stressed.
Do you have a sculpting fan club at work? Come and admire your work and.
You guys keep taking my fucking question. I'm sitting here completely silent. Josh took my last question. Anton took my next last question. This is my last show.
We like you silent.
All right.
You got good questions, Jonathan.
I'm
Really good question.
We got no material of our own.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eli.
Go for it, man.
Go for it, Jono.
Ask him the fan club question. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Sorry. What do your coworkers think about what you're doing? Do they come
It ranges between what are those little dudes on your desk to can you make me one for my kid?
That's what I would expect too. People would ask you.
That's super awesome. What do you do with them? And then you explain, and then they walk away to get coffee. But working in tech support, though, you are probably in one of the hugest nerd fish bowls you could ever be into, though. So there are lots of dudes who are like, "You sculpt? Can you sculpt my character?"
That's be one of the
most
most
sculpt your character.
One of the most sympathetic work environments nerds like us could dream of.
It's amazing. I mean, I've got my direct supervisors always talk at console games and stuff like that. And then there's 2 or 3 campaigns for any kind of tabletop game running out of the office at any given time. I have actually started a coworker of mine, started him on his road towards sculpting, with conversions to his figures and stuff, and 2 other people, started them painting figures and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. It's definitely a geek friendly environment. So I don't get too much pressure on what I'm doing.
So you still get invites to barbecues?
I get invites. I don't go to many though. Because I don't like. I'm horrible. I really don't like hanging out with my coworkers.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool. They understand all the way up to the exec level. It's kind of funny. You get the executive walking by. What are you doing now?
What about the family, wife and kids? What do they think about what you do?
Kids think it's cool. My youngest, she's starting to dabble with sculpting. She's 12 and she's already sculpting accessories to add on to her existing miniatures and stuff like that. My oldest, she paints. She runs her own D&D campaign and stuff. She's 16, so they're cool. My wife is definitely a nerd of her own. She has her own war bands for more time and stuff like that. So I happen to be lucky that way. My kids are definitely nerdy. My friends are nerdy, and I play Pulp Alley and stuff with my youngest all the time. We have our leagues and stuff, so it's pretty cool.
So the nerd is strong in your household.
Yeah, it's no choice. It wasn't a choice. You either grew up nerdy or I put you up for adoption. But no, it's been cool. My oldest kind of drifted away as she got older because she turned into a teenager.
Discovered boys.
No, she discovered automotive mechanics, but
All right.
she likes fixing cars. So, but no, my youngest. Yeah, it is handy. She actually did my radiator this summer. She swapped it out, didn't just fix it, like pulled it out, put it back in.
Shit, dude, that's cool.
That's what kids are for, to train them to do things.
To fix your car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and she wants to go pro with that. So, I mean, she's actually in a vocational. But, like, my youngest, actually, is kind of cool. Her sculpting, she got together with some friends at school, and they're doing this project, this outreach project for kids with special needs and handicaps and stuff like that. They're taking secondhand Barbies and stuff and actually sculpting them with artificial limbs and
Nice.
and special needs, stuff like hearing aids and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to see how they go. She presented it to her school, so the art becomes kind of something cool and worthwhile. It's always cool and worthwhile, but it's.
I want to do one. I'll put like an orc conversion on a Barbie, put a bionic arm with some rocket launchers on it. Thank you, baby.
I think that would be cool, and I think honestly, kids would love it. Even if it wasn't like, hey, look, it's just like me. It's like, no, it's awesome. It's even better.
That's right. New improved version.
Exactly.
I need new shocks for my car, Eli. Does your daughter do shocks?
I want to fly her to New Zealand.
Cool.
Worth it. Jonathan, ask your questions. So I'm going to be quiet now. Ask questions, y'all.
He wanted shocks, but I stole that too.
Yeah, I'm great with questions. I'm not overly great with dashing out info on my own.
Well, I'm usually pretty good with questions, but you guys took them all from me.
Oh.
All of them?
I'm thinking. Give me a minute.
Okay, well.
Hold on. Well,
Yeah.
while Jonathan's thinking, should we take a breather? I'll make sure.
No, we only got 15 minutes left anyway.
Oh.
I just want to compliment Eli on the facial hair. That's
Yes,
Wow.
yes. Thank you. You too. I have not. My daughters want to braid mine and stuff, but I've not let them do it yet.
well. That was
I was wondering-
that was the goal of mine actually, was to get to the point where I could do the little Viking braids.
You
So-
see, mine does this weird thing where it naturally forks. It's like as it gets longer, it goes into this weird forky beard thing.
Well, this is like 2 years of work here. So
I was wondering if you guys can see that I have facial hair.
no,
It might
you
look.
don't.
It might look like my face is dirty, but what you see there is a manly beard I got going on.
On mine, it looks like you just have a turtleneck on. But
Yeah.
Not the most impressive. Not the most
Hey.
impressive facial hair on my
He's
face.
not
got
as fresh faced as you were in the last couple videos.
You got the cookie duster going. It's a dirty Magnum PI number.
Yeah, exactly. That's stash.
Yeah,
Oh.
looks filth.
Is there a little bread
and-
in there?
What's that?
Sorry, Eli, go ahead.
No, just to say, Anton's question about what's coming next, too. I think one of the things I'd really like to do for Loud Ninjas is start to create an actual universe. Everything's been done very freeform. I intentionally built my individual releases as very generic. One goal, too, is like no humans in my hard sci-fi section. There are so many human ranges out there. I just figured, and everybody's clamoring for aliens. I just wanted to be the alien guy.
Shut up,
But
Josh.
I think
Shut up. I know what he's thinking.
what's he think?
Doesn't matter. Keep going, Eli.
No, just
Just know that I agree with you 178.25%.
that there are 8 million ranges of humans out there, the same over and
We don't
over.
need to do any humans at all, ever.
No. Unless I can find some amazing way to do humans again that haven't been done, sure. but and kind of I have, because I've got wasteland humans, because nobody's doing those. You know, you've got road warrior guys with mohawks and breech cloths and stuff like that, and golf clubs. Nobody's really doing those. But yeah, a universe I think would be the next big thing, and it's something with a game setting. And I kind of let that drop in an offline discussion with Jonathan the other day, that I've got this framework, but it's so much work that it's going to be one of those build it in the background and probably
never stop building it.
Later on.
It has to become a complete passion, or else it doesn't get done. It has to.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those ideas that keeps coming back to. So I feel it has to be done. We all. I think as creative folks, we all have those ideas that that would be cool, and then we never think about it again. But we all have those ideas that 2 years down the road, it comes back up again, and you keep thinking about it, and it makes it onto your sketch pad. And those are the ones I think that are worth really pursuing and trying to do. Even if you don't succeed, try it. And that's, I think, where I'm going next is, because there's a certain something to be said for universe building, and I love universe building.
Yeah. Especially, it seems lacking from my perspective as kind of a new person in 15 millimeter. I'm not seeing a lot of the world stuff. There's a ton of figures, but not a lot of,
It's not there, and it's not there by design. I mean, really, I don't. Other than internal dialogue, I mean, my ranges do have an internal dialogue. As far as what they are and where they individually fit. Like the Space Raptors, they came from Earth. 65 million years ago, they dodged the asteroid, and they're out somewhere else in space. They are the Earthmen in my range. But and then the Equine have their weird concept as being one side of an undeclared, undisclosed conflict. This insurgent alien race that I was not going to make the counterpoint, because the idea was that here's a group of low-tech aliens that you could plug in against any high-tech opponent you have, because asymmetric warfare is kind of the new thing, and you don't see much of it in sci-fi. Sci-fi always seems to be humanity with its high-tech toys versus an alien with its high-tech toys. And you rarely see one side or the other low tech, unless it's the classic, 20th century Earth getting invaded by the evil alien overlord. And then the Andrasi, they were another one of those things, kind of like the Prang, which was inspired by something that was out there that I hadn't seen, and that was just the alien empire that has individual aliens, not in some hodgepodge Alien Legion style. Foreign Legion, which Alien Legion is awesome. I mean, it's amazing. But
is that you're talking about the old comic book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still comes out every so often. There's just this last year there was like a 6-issue run of a new story. It's still creator owned, which makes it awesome nowadays. Of course, I mean, who still owns their own stuff and has the clout to jump ship from company to company to produce whatever story they want to do. But universes, I think, is where you're going to see 15 millimeter kind of developing, because it's open.
I think Josh kind of touched on that in our discussion with John Bear Ross, Josh, when we were discussing the whole sort of evolution of the 15 mil universe, so to speak, these days. And the reason for that is before recent times, people made 15 mil miniatures to fulfill a need. It was mainly historical stuff, and there was no need for universes to be built or any of that sort of thing. It was there for the grognard, so to speak, pretty much. Yeah. But now you've got more artists coming into the fray, and with the artists come the creative types, and these people are artistic in many forms, and writing is just another one, development, creation, design, that sort of stuff. And hence why I believe we'll start seeing more universe building in the 15 mil industry.
Right. Well, I mean, not to take away the discussion, but you and I are actively doing that right now. So, yes.
Yeah. I think it would be good for 15 mil, because at that point you're going to get some of the naysayers who have been holding off on, it's cool, but I don't get it. What is it about? It'll give them a place too, because grunts and stuff is really cool in that it seems to be embraced by the community. So it's kind of the go-to rule set that, oh, what do I play this with? Grunts. Well, I mean, the real answer is you play it with whatever set of rules you have, but then you have to go through all the work of producing your army, setting it up and stuff, and I think there's a certain fluidity to being able to pick up a book and see an army list and know what's there and how it all fits together, and that's, I think, what'll be needed before 15 mil jumps to become what 28 is.
Yeah.
If it ever is.
And I also think, and this is my personal opinion, I think what will help the 15 millimeter crowd is to stop doing skirmish in 15 millimeter, because that's cool and it's great for the budget-minded gamer, or but for those of us that either make a living or try to do it as a self-sustaining hobby, you can't survive
15-figure sales.
Yeah, and so unless you've got a rule book to go around with it, and they sort of supplement. But I think people out there are looking for some mass battle 15 mil stuff.
You mean something above like the company level, or?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd still consider that about skirmish. Anything company and below.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, grunts is like, I've seen people play it with maybe 30, 40 figures, but I think it breaks. I mean, it's really a skirmish thing. I mean, if you've got 15 millimeter figures, something Flames of War size. Right?
Yeah.
Something. I mean, I don't like the Flames of War rules really at all for World War II. I think it works for other things, but I think you need sort of that mass battle, mass appeal to really get something to take off in 15 millimeter. That's just me.
No, I would agree. I mean, I think that's where the universes come in too. Is right now, most people's models in their mind for science fiction is military sci-fi from books and movies, and even the guys doing the Hammer Slammers games in 15, I think that's the closest we've seen to truly massive combat, and those guys are playing on giant tables and stuff, and they've got a universe. They've got the Slammers universe, even though they're plugging figures in from every manufacturer, literally, like every manufacturer who does human troops is plugged into their stuff. They've got that universe. But to be able to get people's mindset to accept mass combat in 15 for sci-fi at least, I think you're going to have to give them some reason to put that many figures on the table.
I agree. I agree.
A Dune, a Warhammer, whatever you're going to call it.
Well, I'm all into world building, so I agree with that 100%.
Yes, and it's actually no gushing here, but honestly, when I was first kicking off and was looking for models on how to develop stuff, I looked a lot towards Zombie Smith and how you develop Quar. Is like they were just organic. I mean, you had one group of guys, and then through just growth, natural idea growth. It seemed that it wasn't any master plan. I mean, I'm sure there was a plan, but it seemed like it was very flexible. So a very good example.
I know the universe, and I know the setting, and I know the story, but how that actually then came to life on the table was, yes, organic, right? Yeah,
well, and I kind of, I was part of the community, the forum community for quite a while, for a bit, kind of, one of the low-key guys, but it was just an amazing experience looking just how the players were growing off of that. Mm-hmm. I think the closest I've come to that, anything like that, was with the Equine. Because people really just seem to like these aliens with character who have a plight. It's like, what is they're not the evil empire.
Well, and when you do something like that, right? You gave them a plight, and it didn't have to be a plight; it could have been anything. But you gave them sort of character and background, and people react to that, right? And there's with all this other generic 15 millimeter sci-fi. It's either super generic and there is no story, or it's a very, very thin story, or it's based off TV or books or whatever.
Existing
right? So there's nothing there for people to really grab onto. Once you do something sort of interesting and you put some flesh on it, then people react. Which goes back to the universe thing. You've got a 15 millimeter universe that's full of cool stuff with some flesh on it. People are going to react to that.
And give them enough space in that universe to make it their own. That's the other key thing. Don't lock it down. Allow there to be 10,000 legions of 10,000 superhumans who each have a custom paint job.
And herein you have that typical GW success model.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
What?
and then, clearly it worked. And it's like with the choir. I remember just everybody was coming up with their own.
They still are.
Yep.
And Ion Age is seeing some of that too. You're getting the guys who are coming up and painting that and stuff, painting their own stuff. It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, totally.
2 minutes, guys.
Yeah. So.
Not that I'm in any hurry to leave, but.
Well, what I was thinking, I do have to go in a minute too. Not to take away from Eli here, but there's a big thing happening this week before we all talk again, which is there's a new Star Wars movie this week, and this is very special. But I just thought maybe some of us don't care, maybe some of us care, but Eli, how do you feel about Star Wars?
It's in my blood. I mean, as far as the new movie goes, I'm gonna go see it. I'm super hyped about this one as opposed to. I was hyped about the Phantom Menace and the original and prequels and stuff, but I am of the unamused crowd. When it comes to those movies, these ones, I feel like I felt when I was 8, 9, 10, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Practical effects. It's a bonus. I mean, give me, animatronics and a rubber mask and an actual set with an actual prop.
Yeah.
And you're going to go way far. I mean, there's still digital stuff in there, but I'm super excited. I don't get to see it opening weekend because it's going to be our Christmas movie this year. So family always goes out Christmas Eve or Christmas Day Eve after everything's done.
Dude, I got chills at the thought of there being a new Star Wars movie in the theaters, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're excited?
Crazy. Yeah.
Tell us a little.
I've kind of gone back and forth because I was like maybe 15 or 16 when the other prequels came out, and I was really excited for those. I remember they re-released the old trilogy in theaters, so we got to actually go experience that. Made us even more, Star Wars fans, and then to go get kicked in the nuts with the Phantom Menace, and it was just so. Yeah. I'm excited, but I'm what's the word? I'm
apprehensive.
Gun-shy?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not gonna get my heart broken again. I'm not gonna get too excited.
I'll say this,
and I think there's a lot of characters.
Yes.
Sorry.
No.
There seems to be a lot of characters. But there were a lot of characters in all of those movies, and more than merrier.
For me, it's Phantom Menace was terrible. Pretend it never happened. But I don't mind the prequels as much as I think a lot of other people, because for me, Star Wars has always been about hardware. I love the ships, the guns, the armor.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and so I actually like.
They made a good space movie.
Yeah, and so the prequels actually, to me, have the best hardware. You're right, and then they carried that over into the Clone Wars cartoon. So
yeah.
I like the that era more than I like the Luke, Han, and Leia era, which is maybe strange to say. I mean, I think the movies are better, obviously, with Luke, Han, and Leia, but I also like Star Wars stuff without the big three. Like, the stories without Luke, Han, and Leia, to me, are more interesting stories.
Dark comic series and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, some of the expanded universe stuff was crap, but there's a lot of the expanded universe stuff that was really, really good. So I'm excited, because even if the movie sucks, there's cool hardware.
Definitely.
The other thing that I'm worried about is Harrison Ford, because he came back and did Indiana Jones, and it looked like he didn't want to be there.
Fault.
Yeah.
That movie was Lucas being the little brother who wanted to come in and play with the big kids.
Yeah, but it seems Harrison Ford, he hates everything, it seems like.
Yes, he does. I would say, Anton,
Yep.
What are your thoughts on
I am
Do you have movie screens in New Zealand?
Yep, we've heard about them. Apparently they're next generation, black and white, right?
Yeah, like Eli.
Yeah. No, smart ass. As far as Star Wars goes, I'm diehard Clone Wars. I'm all about the prequel era. I mean, I enjoyed the prequel films for what they were worth, but they never held the magic. For me, the prequel movies are like The Hobbit is to The Lord of the Rings. Fell short, but still cool enough to be worthwhile spending a couple of hours escaping into an alternative reality. But yeah, as you know, Josh, I'm all about the Clone Wars, mate. And Clone Wars through to the Rebels era. I'm loving the animated stuff.
The animated series are really good.
They've just stepped up their game completely as far as the animation.
It's kind of crazy that they're some of the best Star Wars we've had in a long time. It's
Yeah.
not the official movies.
I mean, I love original Star Wars. I enjoyed the prequels. The fact that everything I've seen points to the fact that J.J. Abrams has done a fantastic job with the new stuff. And even though everyone sort of held their breath and were a little apprehensive when Disney took over the reins, I think it's going to be the best thing that's ever happened to the franchise ever.
Disney's been in partnership with Star Wars forever, though.
Yeah, but
it's not new.
to have
that's what I think a lot of people forget. It's not new.
But they have a more commanding role in it now, a more commanding presence.
Yeah.
I've got nothing but total excitement to see where this is going to lead us. But yeah, I'm all about the Clone Wars. That to me that's my Star Wars.
Rebels is a great example of how to run a tabletop Star Wars game. By the way.
Yeah.
There's Rebels. There's actually an excellent blogger who's been taking each episode and breaking it down as if it were a tabletop game, including internal dialogue for the various characters. If you ever get a chance to catch it, it's I'll post you guys a link to it.
Yeah,
it's great because he even did his very first post was this dialogue of them making their characters, and so like the character who's playing Hera, you know, it's like in the last Shadowrun campaign, she really liked her Rigger character, so she wanted to play a character similar. You know, he puts his whole internal dialogue, but it's a great example of how to run.
Yeah.
Point where even the creators of that show even said that they were pulling material from West End's game, the old West End tabletop game. It's kind of cool. And the stroke of genius of using Macquarie's concept art as the interim designs, I think it's brilliant.
Especially enjoying the sort of flow over, the spillover from original Clone Wars into the Rebels era. You know, you've seen the likes of Captain Rex and all them come back and they're battered and worn and look like shit. They've been through the ringer 100 times over. I just love that sort of
the Easter eggs and the tongue-in-cheek jokes throughout Clone Wars and Rebels have been awesome.
Speaking of which, have you guys seen? I think there's only 5 episodes. The Lego Droids.
Yeah.
On the Disney Channel. That shit is fucking funny. I just watched it the other night. Like the first episode, I was like, holy shit! Like they're totally tongue-in-cheek, making fun of Star Wars. Just the old part.
But it's class.
It's a Lego cartoon.
Yeah, it's total class.
It's the good combination of just, you know, making fun of Star Wars while being, you know, really honoring Star Wars at the same time. You know, having fun.
And that's all you can do is just honor it and keep it going and keep it. But to me, and I think with a lot of people that are diehard Star Wars fans, it's never going to get as, you know, it's peaked with me. You're never going to beat Empire Strikes Back. To me, Empire Strikes Back is a perfect movie. Not just the best Star Wars movie. It's an awesome movie, and there's not going to be a Star Wars movie that's going to make me.
I always have to argue this worship of Empire Strikes Back, and Empire Strikes Back does not stand on its own, and therefore it's not a perfect movie. If you have never seen Star Wars, that movie does not make any sense. So therefore, A New Hope is the better film.
Yeah, because if it never went any further after that, you still had a complete story.
It'll be like watching Two Towers without watching The Fellowship of the Ring.
Exactly.
Yeah, New Hope's its own story, though. It does kind of...
Yeah.
Right, but that's the point, right? It stands on its own. You could never do another one, and that is a beautiful story. Empire doesn't have a beginning or an end, right? It's definitely like this second act, and therefore not perfect. I love the movie. Great shit happens.
It's a perfect movie. It's a perfect sequel. It's a perfect middle act.
You didn't say that. I'll agree with that.
You guys should have an arm wrestle. Arm wrestle.
It's a perfect second act.
Come on, Jonathan.
Jaws is a perfect movie.
Yeah, perfect for never. Now I never go in the ocean anymore because of that movie. But sure, yes.
What, Jaws?
Yes.
Jaws.
Yeah.
That movie scared me so much I wouldn't sit on a toilet for a week. I had a vivid imagination as a kid. I was convinced the shark was in the top bunk. I mean, seriously, it was.
So did you go out in the woods to do your business, or what did you do?
I knelt above the toilet. Somehow the difference in 2 inches above the bowl was all the difference in safety from great white shark coming out.
You squatted like a Chinaman, didn't you, Eli? Apparently they don't use toilets like us Western folk.
I went to Japan for a month too, and it was with a bunch of exchange folks when I was 17. And the line for the handicapped stall at the university we were at was great because it had a Western toilet. So you'd have all these people show up in the morning because they couldn't master the squat and drop, and because our Western plumbing, internal plumbing just wasn't there. But yeah, so it was this line, really, literally, a Brit, a Welsh woman, a guy from Ireland, a guy from Sri Lanka, all of us waiting this Western toilet.
So are they like some specialized chute where you sort of squat and rub one out and that just drops, or?
I feel we've gone to a dark place.
Let me just quickly say, I think that euphemism you just used means something different in America than it probably means in New Zealand. I don't need to repeat it, but I don't think that means what you think it means.
No, we have a very clear and defined list of terms and terminology that New Zealand folk can recognise.
Yes. I'll just say this, since we've gone to this dark place. I was once in the old Charles de Gaulle airport, like 1999, with an 8-hour layover, and I needed to use the restroom. And now that I've used the restroom in the Charles de Gaulle airport, I could go in Grand Central Station in New York because it was unbelievable. Like, there are a lot of people from around the world. It's in Paris. There's a lot of people from around the world who come to the airport. It's a big hub, and I'm not diminishing anyone, but I get it. You've never seen a Western toilet. But I would infer when I saw that toilet that your business goes in the water, not on the rim. And
it sounds like the bus station in Detroit.
Yeah, of the 8 stalls, of the 8 stalls, like 4 of them were not once, right? Not even like somebody but people after them also. Like, it was, I don't even understand. So, and I'm getting
that mob mentality. Somebody already went there, and
yeah, it was horrible. But now, like, I'm immune. Like, I can't catch diseases because I'm immune. I can.
Yeah, you've been exposed to everything.
I got it all.
System's ready to go.
Yeah, I've got some editing on my hands.
Made the mistake once taking a bus trip cross country from Washington State to Maine in the middle of winter. And so it's 4 days on a Greyhound, 5 if you get stuck in Montana for 36 hours. But yeah, the grand tour of every bus station facility from Seattle to Old Town, Maine, it was just, no. Nope.
We're going from Star Wars to shit. All right. I don't know how that happened.
We always end up in the toilet at some point, Josh.
Back to Star Wars. Who has a copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special?
It's like Jake Lloyd's career.
I did. Oh.
I know, that one should be cut out. I was trying to get his name.
Good.
Although, casting.
I'll try spinning. That's a neat trick. Wizard. Sorry, I won't quote Jake Lloyd. By the way, and then I have to go. Have you guys heard of the machete order for watching the Star Wars films? Sorry, I just thought it was Jake Lloyd. So, some guy in the interwebs came up with this idea of how to watch the films because he wanted to show his kids who had never seen Star Wars, but he didn't want to start with Episode 1 because that ruins this whole like Darth Vader is my father thing. So the machete order is Episode 4, Episode 5, Boeners' favorite, then 2 and 3, and then 6. And so at the end of Empire, when Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father," and you don't want to believe him, you flash back to Episode 2 and 3. We've got Anakin. You don't need Episode 1 because there's nothing in there that sort of influences any of that. So you watch 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. And
It's
so I've got a couple people that do it who are showing it to their kids for the first time and then them sort of watching it, and it makes sense to kids. The Darth Vader thing is still a big deal.
A huge flashback for
4-hour flashback. But that way at least you get everything, so the kids don't go, "Wait, what's this clone stuff? I've never seen that because Daddy didn't want to show me." So you still show them everything because the only thing in the first episode is fucking Jake Lloyd and Jar Jar, and none of that stuff. And banking, clan, trade, treaty shit, right?
Boring diplomatic shit.
Yeah,
midichlorians.
Right. So,
I love the backpedaling of midichlorians is great. Have you seen that with the Netflix Netflix finish up of the Clone Wars series.
Yes.
Did you catch those episodes?
Yeah.
So Clone Wars, there was a final season that never got aired, and Netflix picked it up
Yeah.
and aired it.
Are they the half-finished ones?
Well, I'm not talking about the unfinished ones. There's actually a whole season of, or most of a season of finished
Yeah, like
ones.
season 6 or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
8 or 10 episodes.
That story arc with Yoda right there at the end was really cool. I thought. So if you haven't seen it, John, go ahead and look it up on Netflix. Season 6, I think it is. If they still got it.
And what do they do with the midichlorians? They change that.
Well,
line.
they kind of bring it back to where the Force is magic again. I mean, honestly, it's because the midichlorians. The stupidest thing that I always felt about midichlorians. Now we basically have turned it into a biological imperative where we could just effectively bio-bomb a planet and get rid of all the Jedis.
Yeah.
We're just going to drop a big, biological weapon. So, not to spoil the story, I guess, but they basically turn it into a biological indicator of the Force as opposed to being the source of the Force.
Right.
Gotcha.
They're attracted to Force users.
Yeah, it's just and Anton.
One last thing, guys, just quickly. Did you hear that Jindy Tartakovsky is coming back for another season of Samurai Jack?
Yes, that's awesome news.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fucking awesome news.
You have homework, John.
What did you say, Jonathan?
Samurai Jack?
You'd never heard of Samurai Jack?
What is it?
Your childhood is black.
It's nothing. It's nothing. Don't worry about it, Boner.
No, it's
It's-
confusing.
I think it's actually on Netflix. Let me look. Do you have Netflix, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Let me see.
We'll describe it. Samurai Jack. It
It's
sounds
like
pretty stupid.
It's a
Take
It's a
a
cartoon.
monster mashup of a samurai flick, a post-apocalyptic setting, and a fantasy.
Epic.
It's part '80s metal album cover. Meets I mean, it's just a huge mashup. That
Meets
works.
Seven Samurai meets... Dude, it's...
It's probably something that I've seen.
It's not on
No,
Netflix.
you'd know if you'd seen it.
It's not on Netflix.
Oh, bummer.
Torrent.
I'll look into it.
Look into
The
it.
original Clone Wars
Yeah.
run was done by him too. That when they did
Yeah.
a series of shorts.
The animated 3. Well,
You guys have to remember what a sheltered child I was, man. Especially the 80s and 90s stuff.
Samurai Jack is this century. I think. At least
Yeah.
it ended in this century.
it's 90s.
No,
It's,
I
yeah,
think it's
like
2000s.
late '90s.
Late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That was at a time I didn't care about cartoons anymore. I apologize. I'll look into it. If you guys say it's good, I'll check it out.
It's good. It's worth watching.
It's worth seeing.
All right, I gotta go, gentlemen. You
All
guys
right.
Yeah, I
continue
can
to
get moving too.
talk about shit in Star Wars. I gotta go.
I'll edit
I
some
think we
stuff.
need to do
Later, man.
we need to do a Star Wars show once we've all seen it.
Yeah.
Let's do a Star Wars
A
show.
reflection.
Brilliant.
Good to meet you, Eli. Like,
You too, Josh.
question. So,
Cool.
all right, I'll see you guys.
Talk to you later, Q.
Bye.
Have fun.
Later, dudes.
And there you go. Oh, you off too? Okay, see you, Jono.
Later.
All right, man.
Oh, you off too, Eli?
I gotta go hang out with the baby.
Okay, gents. Thanks heaps. Thanks, Eli.
Nice meeting you, Eli.
Great meeting you. Finally meet you. Endless months of Facebook talks and shit and never actually get to meet you.
I'm here always, so give me a ring.
Awesome, buddy. Have a good one, eh? See you,
See you
gents.
too, man.
It was nice meeting you, Anton.
Nice meeting you, Jonathan. Fucking Samurai Jack. I don't
Check
want
it
to
out.
talk to you
It
until...
sounds like you know what? It sounds like Kangaroo Jack, and that would be like, fuck. I wouldn't watch that.
No.
I judge
It's
things by their names.
Jack, but, food is the shit.